Hello everyone. In this video, I will give a very brief introduction on how to work with SCAPS 1D program for your solar cell simulation. This will not be a very comprehensive video. Rather, I will focus on the very brief introduction from the very start to the very end, so that the people who are planning to start working with SCAPS 1D program can have a brief idea or a mental setup what kind of things they are going to face with this program. So let's start it. I have planned this video in this way. First, I will start SCAPS 1D program. Then I will load a predefined structure, that is a structure that I have already worked with and I have simulated it. And then I will give you a peek into the material parameters. And for the convenience, I have classified the material parameters in two categories. The first one is primary parameters and the second one is secondary parameters. It is better to mention that this is strictly my classification so that I can give you a better understanding of these parameters. Then I will move on to setting the simulation environment, and last but not the least, we will run the program and check the basic results. So let's start. First, running the SCAPS 1D program. SCAPS 1D program usually doesn't have any shortcut, so you have to run it from the installed folder. So which is typically C drive. So let's go to C drive, then program files, then here we may have SCAPS. I have got a couple of versions, so today I will work with 3307, which is the current version that is available to me. So 3307, and here is the executable file, so let's run it. So here it is being loaded. So this is the interface of SCAPS 3307. So this is our first step. Now let's move on to the second one. Now we will load up a structure in this program. But before loading it, I would like to show which structure we'll be loading, because then you will have a better idea of with which we are working with. So here, this is the structure with which we will be working. So this is basically a basic perovskite solar cell, and it has been taken from one of our work, and this is the title of the paper. And this paper actually describes the intricate details of SCAPS simulation in a very comprehensive way. So you may check this work out for your further work. So here is the structure where there will be, of course, perovskite layer, which is the main absorber layer, and to aid with the carrier flow, there are two other layers. One is whole transport material, for which we will be using nickel oxide, and another one will be aiding the transportation of electron, and which is called electron transport material, and for this purpose we'll be using zinc oxide for today's video. And then there will be two other layers. One is the front contact, which is FTO or ITO, and another one will be back contact, which is silver or aluminum. And here one thing is important, that light will be coming through the HTM structure into the HTM layer into the structure. So let's load this structure into our SCAPS. So now to load this structure, what you have to do, you have to set the problem. Okay, now let's load it. So I have saved this structure previously, so now I'm going to loading it. Okay, so let's find out this structure. I guess it is not here, so we have to go another folder. So here one thing is important in SCAPS. If you want to save the structures, they will typically be saved as DEF file. So the structures are called definition file or DEF file. So DEF file, I think the DEF file where this structure is saved is this one. Oh yes. So now let's take a look if this structure is matches with the structure that I have shown you from the paper. So let's contrast it. So first we are having the left contact, which is the FTO, and light is coming through this layer. So light is coming through this layer. Then we are having HTM, and as I have already told you, for HTM I am using nickel oxide. So here nickel oxide will be served as HTM. Then we are having perovskite layer. So we are having perovskite layer, that is CH3NH3PbI3. And then we are having ETM, and as I have already told you, for ETM I am using zinc oxide. And lastly we'll have a back contact, which is here. So this is our second step for our this video. So now we will move on to the third step, that is we will have a peek into the material parameters that we need to give to complete this simulation. Okay, so let's start working with the material parameters, and this is the most complicated step. So today I will just show you the material parameters, but the intricate details will be discussed in some other videos, because this is the most tedious step that you will be facing working with SCAPs. So first, perovskite layer. So this is the interface of material parameters, and here, as I have already told you, I have separated these material parameters in two categories. One is primary parameters and another one is secondary parameters. So here this panel is for primary material parameters, where this you can see there are a couple of material parameters that you need to provide to indicate that you are working with perovskite layer, your desired perovskite layer, of course. So the first parameter should be thickness. Of course, we have to give thickness of the layer, and then there are a couple of electrical parameters. So from here up to these are the electrical parameters that we need to give. So there are the basic electrical parameters, that is band gap, electron affinity, electron mobility, hole mobility, and so forth. So the details about these material parameters will be discussed in some other videos, if maybe. Now let's move on to the next parameter, and the next parameter is the optical parameter. So that is optical parameter is basically the absorption pattern of this layer. So optical parameter again can be given in multiple ways. So again we will not discuss it today, rather we will put it from other videos or other time. So these are the primary parameters. So let's make a summary. So we have to give thickness, and then we have to give the electrical parameters, and these parameters has to be collected in from different sources, of course very reliable sources, and then we have to give optical parameters, and there will be different strategies to give these optical parameters. So these are the primary parameters. Now, if we go to the secondary parameters are those parameters that is not essential for the simulation, because if we consider the layer to be perfect, then these parameters are not needed. So if we want to consider the secondary effect of this material, so the secondary effect in the cell, then will be needed these parameters, that is the recombination or the losses into the cell. So we have to give radiative recombination, Auger recombination, and the Shockley-Ritol recombination, that is the recombination which occurs due to defects, different kinds of defects. So these are the secondary parameters. Again, the details will be time consuming, and it will require some other videos to cover this. So these are the material parameters that you need to give while you are working with SCAPs, and this material parameters need to be given to specify each and every layer that we are specifying here. So these three layers, for every layer you need to give all these parameters. Like you can see here, we have not provided any secondary parameters. So now let's move on to the rest two layers. That is, we are having two contacts. One is left contact and another one is right contact. If you have forgotten it, let's have a contrasting view. So here we have to give some material parameters for FTO and ITO and some material parameters from silver or aluminum. So for contact layer, the primary parameter that you need to give is the work function. There are some other parameters, but for the time being, I'm considering this unnecessary. So for right now, the other parameters other than a work function will be considered as superfluous parameters. So here you will focus only on work function. Here, if you press flat band, then you are considering an ideal metal contact, that is where there is no energy gap between the adjacent semiconducting layer. So here, if you just wanna what can be said, if you wanna reduce the complexity of the simulation, then just click flat band and it will give you the ideal contact. So here we have considered, for the case of simplicity, the flat bands. Again, there are some other parameters, as you can see in the panel, and they have their own words, and they can be discussed in some other videos. So now again, for the right contact, again we have considered flat band. So here we have considered that both of the front contact and back contacts are ideal contacts. Okay, so this is our step number 2. Step number 3. That is, we know what type of material parameters that we need to give if in the different layers. So now we have moved on to the very fourth step, and that fourth step is we have to set the simulation environment. So the first thing is that you have to give light, right? So this is a solar cell. Without light it won't work. So let's give light. So here, just select the light. And when you are giving light, then again the thing comes, what type of solar spectrum we will be using. By default, the program uses AM 1.5G spectrum. But if you need any other spectrum, even customized spectrum, if you want to use, then SCAPS give you the opportunity to do that. But for the time being, we will consider that we'll be using the default solar spectrum, that is AM 1.5G. So this is all about the light. Now let's move on to the simulation, and today we just want to see the IV characteristic of this solar cell. So another simulation environment that we have to set is the IV characteristic. So if we want to see the IV characteristic, we have to give the lower value of the simulation voltage than the upper value. For perovskite, I know the open circuit voltage should be around 1.1 volt, so I'm setting it higher than this. So I'm setting the higher value to be 2.0, but I would like to see only the graph up to open circuit voltage. I don't need to see the result beyond open circuit voltage, so I am checking this box. So if you uncheck it, then typically the solar cell doesn't run properly. Just goes, it shows convergence error. So don't forget to check this, because for who are working with solar cell, typically doesn't need to see beyond open circuit voltage, right? So now this is the fourth step, that is we have set the simulation environment. And now last but not the least, we will run the program and see the IV characteristic of the solar cell. So are you ready to run it? I guess you are. So calculate single shot and see what happens. All right, the program is working. All right, so it has run. So let's see what it is showing, and of course Today we want to see only the IV characteristic of the solar cell. So let's go to the IV characteristic. Where it is? Here it is, the IV characteristic. Let's press it and see if we are having the desired IV characteristic. Voila. So this is our desired IV characteristic. So here you can see the open circuit voltage, which is around 1.05 volt. Then you are having the short circuit current, that is around 24 milliampere per centimeter square. Then you are having the fill factor of this perovskite solar cell to be 75.48%, and the most important parameter, my structure is giving me around 19.30% efficiency. So this is the way how you can have the IV characteristic of a solar cell using SCAPS 1D simulation environment. So it's very plain and simple, isn't it? So just try it and trust me, you will love it. But of course, one thing is very much frustrating because I have shown you the predefined structure, but when you are working with your own structure, you'll have a lot of challenges, and hopefully I'll be able to give you some details some other time. So that's all for now. Thank you very much.